Hi guys, it's Mark Zickrey, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Mark Zickrey of Space Command, and I'm in my Martian Chronicles Elon Musk shirt, which is really fun. It's a mashup of Elon Musk with the first edition paperback cover of the Martian Chronicles by my dear friend Ray Bradbury. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm sending this message to our Kickstarter backers. So if you've backed us in the past, thank you so much. Our first Kickstarter campaign allowed us to open our studio, and ongoingly the other Kickstarter campaigns have allowed us to shoot the 3 hours of Space Command, start ramping up to the fourth. But I have tons of great news to tell you, and part of the reason I'm sending you this message, which is really important that you watch, is because we put out the first 4 episodes of Space Command. So I want to go over that with you, tell you exactly where you are, where you are and where we are. You know where you are, and also to send you links to the first. We'll go into it. So here's where we are right now. During the pandemic, we've managed to keep our studio open. We've managed to keep our small team on salary, our editor, our producer, and so forth, our VFX team, which is very, very cool and good, and our art director. So we've managed to keep working on the creature figures, the creatures that'll be in the second part of Forgiveness, and the interior of the alien spaceship, and all of that stuff. Work has continued on, but being practiced safely with, masks and social distancing and all of that. And at the same time, under lockdown, I thought it'd be great to do an episode utilizing what we could do during the lockdown. So here's where we are right now. The first episode of Space Command, the prequel, United Planet, is an audio play and also a graphic novel. Where that stands right now is the audio play with all of our cast: Doug Jones, Mike Harney, Mira Furlan, Bill Mumy, Doug Jones, Ethan McDowell, Brian McClure, everybody, Victor Manso, and Angelique Scott, Nathaniel Freeman. That's completed. And it's a cool, it sets up all of the characters. It starts 30 years from now, and Neil deGrasse Tyson is in it too, which is astonishing. He gave me a suggestion for the storyline, and so I thought I'd put him in as a character, and what do you know? He said, I'd love to. So, great. So that's all ready to ship, ready to go. Additionally, we've completed the first hour episode, the pilot of Space Command, and again with Doug Jones, Mira Furlan, Bill Mumy, everybody, and it has 900 visual effects shots. It's been seen now by over 1 million people, and below here in this email to you is a link where you can just click on it and you can watch that immediately. Beyond that, with United Planet, with the prequel, we're doing it as a graphic novel that we're publishing as a series of comic books and then binding together as a graphic novel. But in the meantime, Dave Edison has been doing it as an animatic. So as the great Tahani Farr does the illustrations, we match it to the audio play and create what's called an animatic, which is like an animated storyboard that you can watch and hear. And so it's really phenomenal. So it's getting completed, though, but that part is not completed yet because Tahani's still drawing it. But it's phenomenal. It shows you where all of these characters came from, what their backstories are. Really fun. So we've completed that. We've completed Redemption, the first hour, and we shot the second hour of Redemption, and the first hour of Forgiveness. Space Command is a 12-hour season with 2-hour stories that split down the middle to form 12 episodes, and they tell a story within each 2-hour increment, but a larger story forms from all of them. So we've done that. So that's completed. So the first 2 hours, we're now working on completing the visual effects and post on Redemption Part 2. We've got about 70% of the VFX done, if not more. Moving along. It takes money, takes time. But we've been conscientiously working on it. It has not gone off into the mists of time. Additionally, we shot Space Command Forgiveness Part 1 with Ferran Tahir and a wonderful cast: James Hong and Ethan McDowell, Brian McClure. Ethan McDowell is now playing a villain on Doom Patrol, so that's terrifically exciting. And we were prepping to shoot the second hour of Forgiveness, building the creatures, including, this is a concept head of one of the creatures. It's going to be 8 feet tall. Pretty amazing. And we had a contest to name it. It was 2 people won. One winner named it the Pisara, and that's a cool name. And then someone else, Mark Gray's daughter, named it a spiny cat monkey. And so that's what we'll call it, sort of colloquially. So, okay. So we were about to shoot that. We were getting ready to shoot that when the pandemic hit and we were all in lockdown. So I've been raising money through selling investment shares, $7,500 each, and even half shares, $3,750, where people will get a percentage of my earnings in Space Command. But at the same time, with everyone in lockdown, I've written almost all of the first season of Space Command, and so I know where it goes. And I knew that I was going to be casting Armin Shimmerman and Christina Moses and all these wonderful actors that I hadn't gotten to yet. And I was getting very impatient to do that. So I thought, well, with everyone stuck at home, why don't we do a very odd episode where you get to see who these characters are and you get to see how their heads work. And it's much more like Spoon River Anthology, which was a series of monologues that show you the members of a town. And so I thought we could do something like that. Elaine suggested that. And though she also insisted that on the script I put that this was based on a crazy notion by Mark Zicree, which it is. And so we had the actors shoot their own scenes in their own homes with their own cameras. We had previously, just a few months earlier, shot a scene with Nichelle Nichols, and the amazing Nichelle Nichols, who I met when I was 10. And that was so phenomenal. And we'd also shot a scene with Angelique Scott and Nathaniel Freeman, two more of our cast. And so those two scenes we put into this episode. We called it Ripple Effect because Space Command was always designed to be a series that covered 180 years in the life of four families. So you would see the characters and then their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and so forth over the course of all that time, with several characters who didn't age as rapidly or at all, being sort of viewpoint characters. So it was this great idea, and originally Elaine and I were going to write and direct and produce it. Maybe it's like a vignette, and then it grew to a full hour episode, and then it kept growing. It became a 2-hour episode, an amazing 2-hour companion piece to Space Command, and so that's now complete as well. And so below here is a link to that so you can watch it. Now again, it is not the conclusion to Redemption. So Redemption, we've already shot that conclusion. It will be the beginning, middle, and end of that story, and it will be at the level of production of the first hour. So don't worry about that. That's already very well in hand. This is simply a companion piece to say, here's who these characters are, here's where the story goes, here's more information about these people, and it has Armin Shimmerman from Deep Space Nine and Buffy, and Christina Moses from A Million Little Things, and she also played Sulu's daughter in the Star Trek episode I did, and on and on. Barbara Bain from Space 1999 and Mission Impossible is in it as well. Many of my heroes, and of course our entire cast of Doug Jones, Bob Picardo, Mira Furlan, Bill Mumy, Michael Harney, Ethan McDowell, Brian McClure, Nathaniel Freeman, Angelique Scott, Nichelle Nichols. I mean, it's just astonishing. So I wanted to make sure, since you've been a backer, to give you those episodes so you could watch them, you could enjoy them. We haven't done the DVDs or Blu-rays yet because we're waiting to finish Redemption Part 2 so we can send that to you. And of course, some of you may not even be using DVDs or Blu-rays anymore. You might be just having direct cranial implants or whatever. But downloadable is definitely something that you can get a hold of, and you can also watch this on Mr. Sci-Fi. Beyond that, we've launched a new Kickstarter campaign because money is what keeps this going. And I'm still pitching the show. Amazon is actively considering that, and also Magic Time, which is a trilogy of novels I did, where magic comes back and all the machines in the world stop. But in the meantime, while I'm waiting, I'm still working, and I don't want to stop, and I don't want to stop production. So I'm still, as I said, I'm still selling Space Command shares. You can email me at markzicree@gmail.com or call me at 323-363-1259. I'll be happy to tell you all the information. You just sign a one-page document and mail a check or deposit it in the Space Command account, and bang, you're good to go. You'll get a percentage of my producer's net profits on the first 4 episodes of Space Command when the show sells. And but beyond that, the Kickstarter campaign, there's a link down here too for that. The person who was supposed to run it isn't. They flaked, a lot's up in the air, and so they hadn't laid the groundwork that I assumed had been done. Elaine and I went off to celebrate our anniversary, 43 years, and I came back and nothing had been done. So now I've taken over the campaign, and I'm putting out the word. And we need to be pulling in about $1,000 a day, and then we can make our target of $48,000. But it takes you. It takes you. It takes your friends. If you are part of a sci-fi podcast, a sci-fi website, I'll be happy to do interviews and because that will allow us to continue building the creatures, building the sets, rolling camera, getting stuff done, finishing the visual effects, everything we need to do. We can shoot for a lot less than the networks do. I mean, an episode of Star Trek Discovery is over $10 million an episode, and we're about 300,000 an episode, but we can still deliver a lot of bang for the buck, much more than the studios. So, so please check out Ripple Effect. Check out the Redemption Part 1, but most of all, check out the Kickstarter campaign. Throw some money our way. If you want to buy a share in Space Command, I highly recommend it. I mean, our investors are welcome to come on the set. They're welcome to be part of what we're doing as much as they want to be. And also, of course, there are many perks, ways you can really help get launched on a writing career or a directing career, producing, etc., acting. There's intensives along those lines, and there's also perks where you get various books I've written that I never, it isn't that they didn't sell. There's one book I wrote interviewing George Clayton Johnson, Ron Cobb, and Theodore Sturgeon. I wrote it as a term paper in college. It's book length, and I just never submitted it or tried to publish it because it was something I did in college. I was working on The Twilight Zone Companion as soon as I got out of college, but now we're offering it as a perk, a PDF that you can download. And there's nowhere you can read this material other than that book on the Kickstarter campaign. And there's an Art of Mark Zicree book because before I was a writer, I was an artist. In fact, I painted, back when I was in my early 20s, I painted this fake cover of the magazine of fantasy and science fiction because they used to do special authors issues, and this was me projecting myself onto that future career. So you can see the Twilight Zone clock and an alien and a planet and me. I had a mustache back then, and I painted this. This is actually the painting, and they published this illustration in the magazine of fantasy and science fiction because they were so amused that I did that. But many of my friends had special authors issues like Ted Sturgeon and Ray Bradbury and so forth, Damon Knight and Robert Silverberg, and on and on. So that's where we stand right now. So please, if you can help, please do. If you can spread the word, please do. Every little bit helps, and together we're making Space Command happen. I'm very proud of it. Elaine and I both are very proud of it, and we can't wait to share more and more and more of it with you. So we'll talk really soon. Stay well, stay safe, and thanks for everything, guys.